Hello, hello. Hi. Always takes a second. We are here for the Historical Hellions live show for Skye O'Malley.
The crazy.
Yes. Is it Bertrice Small? Beatrice Small? I think I spelled her name wrong already on the title. Did I spell her name wrong?
It's okay.
Yeah.
Did you spell your name wrong?
I sure did. It's like B-R, I think.
So when I first started talking about her books, I would say Beatrice, and someone typed her name, and I was like, "Wow, they typed her name weird. They're so wrong." And I was like, "Oh wait, no."
No.
When you glance at it,
oh my god, I even read it wrong. I thought it was Beatrice too. Damn.
Oh, you know what? I think I can change it.
I can't read, so.
What's her name? This is just a testament to the craziness.
So many people here already. I feel like people are excited to talk about this one.
Beautiful, guys. I changed it.
Amazing.
All right. Ready for this discussion? Yes, I'm ready, guys. I've never been so prepared and invested in any of our books before. We're going to spill all the details. Yes, we are. Full spoil situation. Justin, I'm so interested, Justin, what you thought about this. I'm so interested.
This is not a first edition, though, which I'm sad about.
Can't even find my edition. I can't.
I think the first edition was a trade paperback.
Oh, look, it's a baby. What is your cat's name? I want to know. That's a very pretty baby. Okay. Yeah. This book was bananas. Okay. So we'll go around and say our star rating. Justin, you want to start us off?
I gave it 4 stars. I'm not one for political intrigue, so the last bit, I was like,
Lisa?
I'm gonna give it a 2 stars. I'm just gonna give it a 2. It was just bananas. It was crazy.
What made it so
good? What? I didn't think it was I didn't think it was a good historical romance. I felt like it was a good erotica romance. And just had a lot of craziness things happening. I felt like it was like the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo kind of situation where we went through the whole history of her life. So yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Nice.
I know. I'm proud of myself too, guys. I really am. I'm very proud of myself. Anyways, listen, the whole book, I was like, this is 5 stars. This is the best thing I've ever read in my life. Like, I was very invested. I know. It's just because the plot twists were crazy. There was nothing that I could have anticipated or guessed, and I was so invested. But then the last few chapters really slowed down and were kind of disappointing. So, 4 stars is fair enough because it's not a perfect.
Long.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was broken up into 3-4 parts. Oh my gosh, you guys. I was literally writing notes this whole time because I was trying to figure out what was going on. It is these are just my notes throughout. It was crazy.
But I feel like the first 150 pages were action packed, full of plot twists, and that's what I really liked. But
yeah. There's so many parts that I would okay, if the book ended here and they got their happy ending, it would have been fine. Yeah. You know, there's so many parts where I was like, this could have been an ending, but we have 10 hours left. So it's not the ending. A 5-star. Yeah. Even though I didn't give it 5 stars, I will say this is my favorite pick we've ever done. In the 3 years I've been doing this is my favorite pick.
Wow.
I know.
That's impressive.
It's just, I've never been more invested. Oh, go ahead, Jess.
This is what I wanted Shanna to be. Shanna had this potential, but because I talked about it in my vlog, because they're very both action packed, but Shanna would do dumb things to drive the plot forward. But in this one, things would happen to her, and she'd have to figure out a way out of it, and she did. She was so smart, and I loved how just empowered she was. Even her dad was like, "Here, take the business. You can do it." Mm-hmm. And I was like, "For a woman in the 1500s, yes."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
I loved Skye. There were parts where I was like, is this a romance or is this her life story? You know what I mean? It's not fiction, it's not historical fiction, but I'm like, it's her life story, I feel like. Yes. Is it a TV or a movie series?
I'm assuming it's Apple, so I'm assuming a TV series. I could really see this translating well into a TV series, though.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was going to be made into a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm interested because there were some problematic elements. I'm interested to see if they'll keep those. We'll see.
Like her whole marriage to the one guy when she was supposed to be like his star.
Oh, her second husband.
Yeah. I was like, this representation of a culture, but
I liked him.
So
yeah. There's a second book, someone told me, and it follows Skye, and it's even crazier than this one. So her story does not end. But we're only going to talk about the first one.
Wow.
3 stars, 3.5. Yeah, just entertainment. Not the best romance, but entertainment for sure.
But
I have that note right here on my phone. That's my first note. I said, what did I say? I said, Skye is not like other girls. First note right there.
Mm-hmm.
So are they recording it already? Because I could see it as being like, especially when like the incest thing happened, I was like, this is giving me so many Game of Thrones vibes. Like, I feel like they could really go there like Game of Thrones does. So, and there were a lot of similars if you like to Game of Thrones without the fantasy.
Yeah, or like the Tudor series. I mean, that one was really interesting too.
Yeah. Outlander.
Or like the Mary Queen of Scots series.
Mm-hmm. I used to watch a show called The White Queen, and it's based off of Philippa Gregory's books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it kind of reminds me of that too.
Yeah.
Her story does continue, and it's a lot of political intrigue from what everyone is telling me, which I think is why Queen Elizabeth was like such a big deal at the end. It's the war between Queen Elizabeth and Mary Queen of Scots, and then Skye is like in the middle. So, all right.
I thought it was funny when Elizabeth went on about her dad's wives. About like, well, this was my dad's first wife, and then my mom was Anne Boleyn, and then this happened to his next wife when Elizabeth was talking about them.
Oh, yeah.
Like her take on it was funny.
All right. I have a character list so we can somewhat stay in order, guys. I came prepared. Okay. So what did we think of Skye? I said I liked her. I think she was independent. I think she was a badass. What did you guys think of her?
I liked her, but she was 15 when it started, and there were a lot of like very, very, very young children in this book.
Yeah, I agree. I really liked her too. She was very independent. She was smart, and she was a lot different from all the other historical romance heroines that we meet from books that are written at this point, like whenever this book was published. So it was refreshing to see that she was just so strong.
Yeah. In my head, she was 18 when the book started. I just pretended in my head.
And then she gave birth and they said she's only 19. I'm like, wait, what? Like, I was like, she already has 2 children and she's 19? Like, oh my.
Didn't she have like 6 by the end? She was only 25.
Yeah. There was a 10-year age gap between her and me.
Ooh, that's a lot of children.
Yeah. And then there was a part where they were like, oh, you're too old anyways, like you're 15, you should have got married at 13. I was like, what in the world? And in the brothel, there was like a 10-year-old girl in the brothel.
Yeah, did you catch that her dad like married Anne when Anne was like 12 or 13? So her stepmom was 12 or 13 when I have to go back and rewatch Crystal's vlog from when she read it a couple years ago. I need to remember what she said.
Skye was a queen. She was great. Crystal does have a vlog. Oh, sorry. I don't mean to cover Elisa's face. Iconic. Okay. So I just pretended Skye was older, but she was pretty badass. I liked her a lot. Okay. Neil. What do you guys think of him? Not feeling him?
I think she did a good job making him a decent guy. Like, he never forced her. He did force his wife.
Yes.
But I don't know how to explain my thoughts on him. He was a decent guy, I think. Like, he genuinely loved her and was just like forced into marriages that he was not too. I did not see that coming with his second wife. 2 completely opposite marriages. I was like, what is happening? Like,
I know. So, okay, for those of you who didn't read the book, Skye is 15. She's betrothed to an evil guy named Dom. He's evil. He's abusive. She doesn't want to marry him.
Mm-hmm.
What?
She was supposed to get married to Niall. Like, they were, I would call him Niall in my head. I don't know if it's Neil or Niall. They were supposed to get married before she got married to evil guy.
Yes, so she's betrothed, and like the day before she's supposed to marry Dom, she meets Neil, and they're like in love, like instant, like the instant their eyes connect, they're like, "I love you, you're my baby forever," and they're supposed to like overthrow this like betrothed situation, but the dad doesn't want to, so she marries Dom. And did you guys catch that she was drugged during that wedding?
Yes, I
By
did.
her own family.
Yeah.
Wild.
She was drugged and she woke up and she was wedded, right? Or something? Like,
yeah. Well, she was so like catatonic, like she couldn't talk. She couldn't say no to the wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she marries Dom. And then this is the part where I was confused. Neil is like a clan leader. He basically like rules over a good section of Ireland. And he claims Skye's virginity even though she married Dom. So he sleeps with her before Dom gets to sleep with her.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then the family kidnaps Neil and makes it seem like he betrayed Skye and then writes a letter in Skye's handwriting.
Yes.
To make it think that Skye betrayed him. So they both think that they were betrayed, but their families were just scheming. Yes. Okay. And then she gets married for real to Dom, who like abuses her for like 3 years. Okay.
And while he's been sleeping with his sister.
Oh yeah.
Yes. That was disturbing.
Happening right now.
That was disturbing. That was so disturbing. I was like, what is going on?
And she shows up later. I'm like, these twists. What is happening?
Yeah. Yeah. So Dom is evil and sleeping with his sister, committing incest. Skye finds out.
Yep.
And then Dom falls down the stairs.
Yes.
I thought he died. But he didn't.
Yeah, I thought so too. But he gets paralyzed.
Yep.
So then, go ahead, Jess. I feel like I'm explaining the whole thing. Go ahead, you're next.
Well, so then after that, she like is reunited with Niall, right? And they're like, oh my God, we can finally be together. And they're so happy about it, but they can't get married just yet. Like they have to wait for, I don't remember the reason. They had to wait like to get approval.
He married a nun. He needs to annul his marriage.
He did marry a nun. Because he was betrothed to someone else, right? And she died. So his sister had to step in and she was a nun and she was so mad and hated him and wouldn't shower so that he wouldn't touch her. And it was a very interesting relationship. And he did force himself on her because she was refusing him. And then they were married for a long time. Did he get that marriage annulled or did she die? I don't remember how that marriage ended. But
she argued that she wasn't supposed to marry him, that she was supposed to be a nun. So she wanted her out.
He's like, give her back to the nunnery. That's fine. And so then they're supposed to be together, like, yay, awesome. Her dad dies and is like, I'm putting you in charge of everything. Here are my ships. Do your thing. And so she has to go travel to some place to like make a business agreement. And Niall's like, I'm gonna come with you. I don't want to be a part anymore. It's very Shakespearean, I feel like. And so they go on the ship together, get attacked by pirates, but like her crew's so good that they beat 2 ships. And then Niall gets knocked off the boat by a wave, and her dog jumps in after him. And then she's like, we gotta save him. So they're in the midst of saving him, and the pirates see she's distracted, jump on her boat, kidnap her, and then shoot Niall. And she's so traumatized that she has amnesia. My favorite trope.
Amnesia, like as if all of this wasn't crazy enough. She got amnesia. Okay, pause. Were we supposed to like Niall for a very good portion? I was like, "This is he the hero? Is he like who they're supposed to end up with?"
Go to the end of the book, and I was like looking to see a person's name to figure out who she was supposed to end up with, because I couldn't.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I went to the synopsis and I was like, "Oh, I didn't know it was Niall until she got like that Zodiac thing. Like someone read her future. I don't remember."
Oh, yeah.
But the back didn't say, and I was very annoyed.
Yeah, so
I agree with you, Gemini Cozy Nights. The other people had more showtime. The other People
They
had more
did.
time on the page to
They
convince
did.
me.
Yeah.
But I think we
And
were
well,
supposed to like them.
maybe, but like he was only nice to her. He was awful to his 2 other wives. Like,
He
It
was
wasn't
his
his
second
true
wife
love.
until she started like sleeping with everybody.
yeah. Well, yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Okay. Yeah, it's not. This isn't even. This is just part 1, guys. Right. So
Yeah.
she was supposed to marry Niall, ends up marrying the bad guy. The bad guy is sleeping with his sister. He gets paralyzed. She can marry Niall, but then she gets amnesia. Okay. So now she has amnesia, and we meet Khalid. Khalid? Is that his name?
Sure. Yeah, I think so.
Khalid El Bey. And I'm just gonna say he was Bey. He was my favorite husband. So there you go. What did you guys
He might
think
have
of
owned a brothel, but
Yeah. Had some slaves, you know. Pick some slaves out to
you know,
have fun
people
with.
have their problems.
Yeah.
madly loved her. Yeah.
He did.
Their
That's why I
relationship
love
was-
him.
Yeah.
That's why I loved him. So she gets amnesia. She ends up on, I don't know where she is geographically, but she ends up
Yeah.
here. And he owns several brothels and intends to make her like his lead sex worker because she's
Mhm.
gorgeous. That's the thing about this whole book is she's stunning. Like every guy wants to sleep with her.
Literally
And
everything.
literally every guy and some women too. They all want her. So
Jeez. Yeah.
so then instead of making her a sex worker, he falls in love with her and marries her, frees her first, frees her and then marries her.
Mhm.
Okay. And then some stuff happens. So go ahead, Jess.
Well, then she gets pregnant with his
Mhm.
baby. But he had like a head mistress that basically was like his business partner. She got very jealous. So she's like, I'm going to take Skye out. Murders him on accident. So she like stabs the sheets over and over again. And then all of a sudden she hears like Skye behind her and she's like, oh my God, what did I just do? So her husband's dead and she's pregnant with his child. I think that's her 3rd child because she had 2 with Dom. That's her 3rd child. And this is where she meets Robbie, right? And Robbie's very protective of her. Offers to marry her a bunch of times just to protect her. He's never in love with her, which I appreciated. I didn't get the sense that like Robbie wanted her, you know, romantically. He was just very protective of her. I really like yeah. Adam I really liked. I was like, you can go be with Adam. Like, just go love Adam. He's so nice.
That's what I'm saying.
But
yes. So she's pregnant with this child and she's devastated because she fell in love with this guy because he honestly like spoiled her. Gems, jewels, money, shmoney, like
Shmoney.
and she was helping
energy,
run a business.
like literally everything.
She was super smart. It was like, let me take over everything for you. And she did.
Yes. And you know why I loved him so much is this whole book, people are trying to like impregnate her because they want sons and they want an heir. And when she was pregnant, he was like, someone was like, oh, I pray that it's a son. And he's like, it's okay if it's a daughter. And I was like, that man loves you. That man loves you right now.
I know. Even Niall was like, you'll have my sons eventually. And I'm just like,
yeah, he was.
They were very obsessed with sons.
He was my favorite of the husbands. Dom, not even in the running. Okay, so she has amnesia still. She doesn't remember anything. She's pregnant with her dead husband's child. So she goes back to London because there's someone there. Like she goes back to London for protection because now that her husband's dead, everyone is trying to marry her. And some people are trying to kill her. So she goes to London for protection, but she still doesn't remember anything, even though Niall lives in London. The guy from the beginning lives in London. Okay. Yeah, what is happening? What is happening, guys?
Oh, and she inherited like a house on the Strand, like the house from her husband. She got that. So that's where she went to live in London.
Yeah.
Right.
So she's a widow with her daughter. She doesn't know she has kids, other kids. She doesn't know about Niall. She doesn't remember anything. So she ends up meeting an earl named Geoffrey, who is an asshole a little bit. He's already married and he wants to make. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. There's so much. Go ahead.
So he wants to make Skye his mistress because he's married.
And
he abuses his wife too. And she doesn't want to marry him originally. She thinks that he's a jerk, but basically he like becomes a gentleman, seduces her, and they fall in love. She becomes his mistress, gets pregnant with his child, and then his wife dies. So now they can get married.
But he only got together with her because of the bet, because he bet this other guy for his ship and his horse that he could seduce her to become his mistress. So then she learns about that, and she's like, "You're the worst person ever." I didn't really like him. I don't know. He was not my favorite husband. He really did love her, and she like really loved him.
Yeah, she did. But I think she spent the longest time with him.
She did.
Yeah, I think she spent the longest time.
She had
so they get married.
2 or 3 kids with him.
I think 3. I think 2 boys and 1 girl.
Because 1 died.
Yes, but he still had an heir.
Yeah.
So they get married, and guess who's at the wedding? Neil. But she doesn't remember anything.
He's like, she looks a lot like the woman I love, and she has the same name. Nah, it can't be her. Let's use our brains for a second, but it's fine.
Oh, 2 kids. 2 kids, 2 sons, no daughter.
I like Jeffrey though. I liked his story where he died. I thought it was really sad, where he was just like, he had a white throat, and then the maid had to go in there and just dig it all out and scoop it out, and how he just like was holding the dead child, and he was like, I tried my best, couldn't do it, and then he had to die. It's kind of sad.
I do feel like they conveniently killed off spouses so that they could be together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other Niles' wife died out of all these like diseases because she was just so addicted to like having more than 1 man. That was wild. I was like, and it took her 2 years to die. It wasn't even like a quick death. Like she had to die in like 2 years. Her life was just shit. So yeah.
So
it was good. It was emotional.
Yeah. Somewhere in their marriage, Jeffrey and her, they're in love. Like she loves him. He is an earl, and he's like a favorite of the Queen Elizabeth. And she ends up going to court quite often, and Queen Elizabeth like is obsessed with her, is jealous of her, but also likes her. So they go to court a lot, and that's where Neil gets into a duel because his wife, because he's married to someone else, is a prostitute and has slept with everyone in court. Yeah. So then as he's doing the duel, Skye remembers everything. But she doesn't fall back in love with Neil because Neil kind of treats her badly, so she continues to be married to Jeffrey until he dies.
Because she did love Jeffrey, so she wasn't about to drop him for Niall.
Right. I think Neil was in love with the young version of her, and there was like a specific part in the book where it was kind of very obvious that he was in love with this past version, and she was just like, I've lived so many lives now, like let that girl go. I'm a different person now, and you have to love me as I am now. So that was difficult.
That's good. Yeah, that's true.
I was frustrated though on how the women were treated, because like his wife liked sex, but she wasn't allowed to like it. But like they found her because Niall was there to be with a prostitute, and that's when his friends found her. And I'm like, and so then she's banished, and like for once they find out, like they like tell the queen like, oh, she's like this prostitute, even though she's like a high lady, and so she's banished and like can't do all this stuff. And I'm like, literally, okay.
Yeah.
All the men can go and do whatever they want, but the woman does it, and all of a sudden it's wrong.
All the girls in this book has been like subject to brutality and rape and like everything. Like it's just it was madness. And like every page, really, if you like look into it, like it's either forced or it's consensual, but then it's shamed, and then it's just like it's like back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like one of her like ladies' maids, you got to hear a lot of the story of the side characters too, and how they came. Like she was raped by pirates on a ship, and she says in her mind the saddest part wasn't even her being raped, because she expected that. That was, what everyone did to, maids. She was more upset that her like lady, the person she worked for, was slept with, because she was a high lady and nobody should touch her.
And that high lady was like enjoying it. She was like having the best time of her life. And then,
mom. Yeah.
And Anna was like, why are you not ashamed? And she's just like, I've had so much fun. You just didn't know. And then she goes into the backstory of how she had fun, where she was 6 years old and she was already molested. And I guess she liked it by the pastor. And then her virginity was taken away by the same pastor. And then she had her fun with all the gardeners and stable boys and things like that. I was like, this is wild. Very true.
Yeah, even like the sister, I think the sister, going back to the sister with Dom, he like assaulted her when she was like 10 years old. And I think even Skye says like maybe after a few years you won't feel the same way, like you won't love him like you think you did, almost insinuating like she was groomed. So I thought that was kind of interesting too. Because if I was Skye, I would have pushed that bitch down the stairs. I would have.
Well, doesn't Niall end up like killing her? Beating her? I don't remember what he did to her. But...
He slept with her, the sister.
Yeah, but then he realized who she was and then did something to her. Like
something did happen, but not because of who she was, because of the fact that his second wife was at her brothel.
Yeah. And then he figured out who she was.
Okay, yeah, right.
I just also that was way too convenient that the sister was the one working at the brothel.
True. That's true. Okay, so Jeffrey dies. Neil's wife dies from sleeping with too many men. And then
even when she was caught and leaving, she sleeps with the guy in the carriage. Lady. Sorry.
Before we talk about the next part, the imagery, guys, of the sex scenes. What was this? I think she was referred to it like as a honey oven like 10 times.
She was.
I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what is this, Beatrice Small?
There were a lot of very descriptive sex scenes throughout the entire book, which was very surprising. I didn't expect that many.
Some were not, and then some were, and then you're just caught off guard when it's just like the 2 sentences, and you're just like, what? Like the rape scenes were just 2 sentences, and you're just like, what? And it was like, yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. It was a lot of bad stuff. At one point, I did get emotional because I was like, I feel bad for her. She was raped like at least a dozen times.
Yeah.
Dudley.
I feel really bad for her. No, not most old historicals are this graphic. It depends on the author.
Yeah. I was surprised by how graphic this one was.
Honey oven. He spilled his creamy juices. Like
he texted that to us, and I'm like, oh, I didn't get to that part yet.
I was like, why do we have to describe stuff like this?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so now
the fantasy of it, because I feel like that's what like bodice rippers really are. Like, so that's why they're so like over the top and exaggerated.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was supposed to be like a discussion of like female empowerment because she enjoyed like a lot of this stuff, but I don't know. It was a lot
she loved,
yeah. So now she's had 2 husbands. Neil has had 2 wives. She needs protection because now another bad guy wants to marry her.
Dudley.
I hated him.
Yeah.
Slime ball.
Yeah, he was. And he was like the queen's favorite too. What's even more fucked up is the queen wanted her to marry him because like she knew that he was abusive, but the queen was in love with this bad guy, but couldn't marry him. So she wanted him to marry someone that didn't love him. So like she didn't have to be jealous.
Yeah. But also before that is when she slept with Adam, right?
Oh, yeah. Adam is on this list. He's a pirate? Question mark.
She had her fun, but he realized that...
Well, he blackmailed her. He was like, I'll give you what you want, but I want a night with you. She's like, again. Like, that always happens to her. Every man just wants her for her body. But she does outsmart all of them, so...
And they all fall in love with her, and they end up dying, so she knows what she's doing.
Yeah. But yeah, so then she does sleep with Adam for one night, and then they become like best friends.
Exactly.
That is a dog.
And then because she hates the Queen of England, because she owns all of these ships, she ends up working with Adam to steal the Queen of England's ships and make her lose a bunch of money because she hates the Queen of England. But she needs protection so she doesn't marry the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
So that is where finally, after 3 husbands, a dozen children's amnesia, rape, her and Neil get married.
But after Robbie's like, marry me, I'll protect you.
Oh, yeah. I would have married Robbie.
And she asked to marry Adam, and Adam's like, no.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait for love.
No, but Adam was like, you can't, like, I can't protect you. I'm just a landowner. I can't do anything. So he was very noble with it.
I loved Adam.
Yeah.
If only she just loved him.
I know. I think Adam and then her second husband were my favorite. So Adam and Khalid were the ones I felt like truly loved her. Then the Queen of England finds out about the ships but doesn't have proof. So she arrests Skye.
6 months pregnant.
6 months pregnant with Neil's child. Oh, wait. No, I love the book. Hold on.
Oh, we all loved it.
We loved it. It's just crazy. It's crazy. Okay, so now she's arrested. She gives birth in jail. They break her out, and she lives happily ever after with Neil and her bajillion children.
And her sister showed up, which I liked. I liked her sister.
I liked her sister too. Her sister was a nun. All right, guys, that is the synopsis of the whole book.
It was wild, but I feel like the first half was more wild than the second half, and that's why I liked the first half better.
Yes. The last half of the book was too slow, and just like I think there was 2 pages of just like describing what she was wearing at one point.
Yeah.
Well,
but now I envision her in that black velvet dress and her jewels and her diamonds around her neck.
Yeah, she was a bad bitch.
Mm-hmm. And she was like the most wealthy woman like in the country.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought she had like red hair because she's like, Scottish.
So did I.
But then they were like her black hair, and I was like, okay, that makes sense now.
Yeah,
I thought she was a redhead too, and I don't know why, but it's because she wore a lot of green, and I feel like redheads wear a lot of green.
I thought like they would just put her as a redhead, but then I saw the book of the cover of the book, and I was like, that makes sense. Black hair.
I think they said raven hair at one point, and I was like, nah, she's a redhead. Like, because I was imagining her like Jolene from like the Dolly Parton song. Like flaming locks of auburn. Okay. That's how I put her in my head. Like this sexy woman.
So there was a typo in here, and I can't remember where it is, but they said someone died in like 1950 something, and I was like, this is supposed to be in the 1500s. Oh yeah. So this says that Queen Mary had died on the morning of November 17th, 1958. I think we're off.
She survived everything.
A little bit.
All the wars, everything. She old.
Yeah. No, there was a part where they were eating like turkey or something, and the hero dipped his turkey in Dijon mustard, and I was like, Dijon mustard? When do you think that was created?
I don't know how you write these like super descriptive old school historicals though back then, because you have to research, like hand research everything. You should go to the library and like read about it in books. You can't just say like, did they have Dijon mustard? I don't know.
Yeah, but it was accurate. It was created in 1329. If anyone's curious.
You double checked that because
you
wanted to see if you could catch the author in her act. Well, she was right, except for the 1950 part.
I was like Dijon mustard. I don't know why I feel like that's a like modern thing.
Yeah, I know. I feel like it's like some like modern French thing that just happened.
She does have a time travel one. She has a time travel one.
Ooh, she has a time travel one.
Has anybody read any of her other books?
No.
I mean, other than what we did. Yeah. Other stuff.
No.
Her books are so expensive on eBay. I don't know why.
Are they the trade paperback size though? Because I think most of hers were first published in the big size and then republished in the small.
I think they are the mass market paperback ones. They're so expensive. Like I always try to look for them and they're like double the price of anything that I've ever seen before. So I just never bothered getting them.
Are they out of print?
Yeah.
I don't know. I
think so.
I think
I'm surprised this audio was available.
And it was available on Audible, part of their Plus catalog too. So
I was wondering why that said it was free when I looked at it. I didn't look into it though.
I was like, hell yeah.
But it's interesting because the audio is 21 hours, but my paperback's only 460 pages. So I feel like this is way longer than a 460 page book.
Is the writing small?
Yeah, is the font small?
It's really small.
Okay, there you go.
That's fine.
So I wonder how big it is, really.
21 hours. I saw that and I messaged Jess and I was like, why is the book that I'm joining for you guys, like this club, the longest book I've ever read in this entire
I feel
year?
like you read that slow though, because it was so fast paced.
Yeah. The first 15 hours I feel like flew by, and then like the last 5 I was like, okay, this is ridiculous.
It was very slow. I wanted more action. I was like, go be a pirate again. Like we didn't get to see them take the jewels from the ship. It's just like, yep, we did it. It was successful. And I was like, but
I wanted like her and Neil and like all of their children to be like pirates. Like that's what I wanted, but it didn't happen.
Do you think it'll happen in the second book then?
Okay, so I'm gonna spoil it for you guys. I'm sorry. Someone told me in the second book that she is in a harem, like another brothel. So I'm like, why? She's so rich.
But it sounds like it's gonna be like Outlander, where literally I think Claire is kidnapped every single book. Like something happens to the heroine every book where they're like torn apart and they have to find their way back to each other. So I'm assuming something happens to her where she's like, I mean, I hope she doesn't get amnesia again, but I wouldn't put it past the author to do that.
I wonder if she has to leave England because of the Queen Elizabeth.
I wouldn't trust her because she literally was like, I'm going to arrest you and I don't need a reason, and kept her in jail for like 6 months.
Yeah. Jealous hoe.
But I feel like I remember, is that guy like historically accurate? Because I watched a movie about Elizabeth and Mary, and I remember Elizabeth like hooking up with a guy, but like saying no.
Yes, I remember too.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's true. Maybe it was like a rumor that has like carried
because
over.
She wanted to remain single for the crown.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah. I don't know.
This is a hilarious comment to me because I really do wonder, like, you know, like astronauts' wives just like sitting up in the kitchen baking some cake. I was scandalized. Were they scandalized in the 70s, 80s, like reading this?
What else was like this? Because like even Joanna Lindsay, I feel like is not this level of explicit content. Because like when I'm like bodice ripper, this is a bodice ripper. Like
many a bodices are ripped.
Like literally they are. I was like, oh, this sounded like a nice outfit she had on. And no, it's just.
I feel like a lot of those books published in the 80s were bonkers, though. Like, it had very zany plots where everything was just happening all at once.
Think of everything we've read.
This is the craziest.
This one is the craziest, I must admit. But there were some that I picked out from my, like, eBay vintage lot BS that I did back then. And I read some, and I was like, what is going on? And it was crazy. But this one was definitely scandalous.
Yeah, this was crazier than the one where like the heroine thought she was in love with 2 guys, and it was actually the same guy, and he was a pirate.
I love that one though. That was so good.
I know, but that was crazy. And this is
you can kind of see that coming. You're like, I think it's pretty obvious that like this guy. This one, it would have been like completely out of left field. You're like, wait, what? Like, what is happening?
Wait, which one's the one where he's in love with 2 guys, but like it's only one guy?
I don't remember which one it was.
It's not the Virginia Henley one. It's the Heather Graham one, and it's a pirate romance.
It was a pirate romance because she was like in love with this guy at home, and then she was kidnapped by a pirate and falling in love with the pirate, and she's all like, I can't love him. He's evil, and I love this other man. But like, he was the same person.
It was by Heather Graham, and the title was let me find it.
A Pirate's Pleasure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have some of her books.
Okay, so the synopsis of book 2 says that the queen, it says that Skye is once again unprotected and alone and has to fight for her children, and the Queen Elizabeth demands she marries Duke de Beaumont de Jasper. I don't know if that's Dom. I don't know who it is.
No.
And then it says her life is horrid at first, and then she transforms it with her hot-blooded desires. Oh, and then of course, her beloved former husband may actually be alive and not dead. So I think she thinks Niall died, but he's not dead.
Or is it Khalid? Because maybe he's alive.
Oh, this says alive in the Algiers, which is where Khalid lived.
Samantha, you have to read it. Your bae is back. Your bae is alive.
He was like stabbed though, like 10 times by that woman.
It's okay. It's okay. Some
could have missed a vital organ.
Yeah, some holes here and there, but it's just,
Yeah.
all patched up now.
Oh, this says she is a woman born to be loved by men.
Yeah, I can tell.
Jesus,
Like everybody wants her.
Everyone does, yeah.
Nobody go to eBay and buy it right now because I'm gonna go look for it.
Yeah, I have a ton of her large paperback ones, and the covers are stunning. I kind of prefer it because the mass markets are so like small writing.
Yeah, I think I would want a big one. I have the heart, this heart of mine, but I don't think I have the second one.
This little heart of mine, I'm gonna let you. No, it's not heart. It's light of mine. Yeah, I think Elizabeth. Yeah, someone said she was not a virgin.
Yeah,
so she did have a mister.
Oh, I love that cover though. This is the second one. I like her covers.
Stunning.
But I feel like the history wasn't like too heavy in this one, like it has been in other ones. Like the last one that we read were like really, really historical, and I'm just like,
yeah, it wasn't that crazy. And although so much happened, she wasn't that old. At the end, she was only like 27, 25.
Yeah, she wasn't even 30 yet.
They told her she was at the end of her prime childbearing years.
Fun.
Little did the world know you can still have children past 30. I think it was like, oh, he's alive.
Because what did he do wrong? He did nothing wrong. He didn't deserve to die. I mean, he had to
own a bunch of slaves. Yeah. We'll just look past that.
They're free now. She freed them.
Oh yeah, that's true. And she made sure that they all had enough money to survive when they were freed. And I was like, girl, that's important. You can't just let these slaves be free and then they have no money at all.
Yeah. See?
I'm in denial. Give us Khalid.
Khalid is the people's husband.
Yeah, I mean, I like the way they're like ignoring him as a person. Obviously, he's horrible, like buying and selling women and like those, like, yes. He was very good to her, and he was the best husband to her.
Yeah.
I didn't like Jeffrey. Like, thinking back on it, I didn't like Jeffrey.
No, because he was abusive. He did hit her. Like, he hit her one time because she wanted, when she said no to being his mistress, he like smacked her across the face.
I don't remember that. Sounds mean.
Yeah, but then she hit him back, and then they had sex.
Didn't she hit him? Yeah.
I don't know if that was like foreplay or what that was, but yeah, he was. Like,
but it was very like there was a lot of dark content in this.
A lot of trigger warnings.
That's why I'm shocked it got picked up for a show. Like, how can they include any of this?
How they include all that in Game of Thrones?
Oh, I never watched Game of Thrones.
That is true. Game of Thrones had incest. That
How
is
many
true.
brothels they showed in Game of Thrones? Oh yeah, the main the main guy, one of the main guys of Game of Thrones, was in love with his twin sister.
I never watched the show,
Literally,
but I
all of
knew
her
it.
children were his. So
Yeah.
it was worse in this book, but
Yep.
yeah, I feel like there's a lot of parallels between because there's a lot of bad stuff that happened in Game of Thrones, but I feel like people are willing to forgive that because it's fantasy, and people are much more okay with things happening in a fantasy novel than in a romance novel. Even though none of it's condoned, like she is not like any of her husbands who force themselves on her. Like they are portrayed as horrible people. And she only truly loves the husbands that are truly kind to her and that she enjoys sleeping with. So I hope that they do the book well, though.
I don't think Skye was problematic. She didn't do anything problematic. She just survived, really.
She saved a lot of people. Like, remember when the Dom brought those 4 children into her house to do horrible things to, and she saved them, and then was raped herself because she saved them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think Adam was problematic either.
Adam
I mean,
had a
he did
very
say, "I'll give you what you
short-
want if you sleep with me," so he did blackmail her into sleeping with him, but
But she liked him already. So I think it was just like teasing. I don't think he would have forced her. I'm not that much of a fantasy reader, so I don't know.
I don't really know either.
It's very annoying that that's what happens, though. I mean, that's what like they talk a lot about in dark romance too, that a lot of that happens in other genres, but because it's labeled a romance, that it's not okay.
I will read the rest of this series and I will watch the show. I will.
I'm so excited.
Let me know if Khalid lives. Let me know.
I will let you know. You will all hear me shouting it from the rooftops.
Text in the group chat. He's alive. I want to see that notification on my phone.
But like, would you be disappointed if book 2 starts out with Niall dying? You're like,
Yeah,
what was the point of this entire?
I think it does.
Yeah,
I think it does.
That's BS.
Because someone messaged me and said Niall dies, and they said she ends up with a nice guy at the very end, but I don't know who this nice guy is.
Then, like, would we consider this a romance? Like, there's not actually an HEA.
There's some HEAs, and then they move on. She has like 5 HEAs.
That's why it's like the 7 husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Just like continuously falls in love throughout her whole life. There's never one person she doesn't fall in love with.
What would we consider it if it's not a romance? Because it's not historical fiction.
It is a historical fiction because it's in history.
Like an epic saga.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, there's no genre for that.
Yeah, I think it would just be
I do think
historic.
We watched the Tudors, but like things like that happened in the Tudors, didn't they?
I think so.
Yeah. That show was crazy. People, the real story was crazy, but yeah.
I need to rewatch that show. But I do think that
Henry Cavill is like naked butt on the show, like half the time.
I mean, like, art content, not just the sex.
Well, we have different priorities, clearly.
Just asking if they would show that. But I think that they made a good point, though, saying like if it's like truly historical and not modernized, because you could really feel the scene that made people like it was like the problematic scene in Bridgerton that the author wrote in the story. But I feel like for the time period, it would make more sense when you really put it back in that time period. Like this was the 1500s. These things happened. So.
But didn't the author of Outlander say that this was not a romance, or am I tripping?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have no thoughts, just vibes. Just vibes. Yeah, I watched the Tudors and Mary Queen of Scots, and I couldn't tell you one historical piece of any of it.
You know from the show 6 who the wives are.
That is the only reason. And when they say their name, I literally sing the song in my head to remember which one they were.
Okay, but they also, so I thought the last wife, was she also Catherine? Well, who was the last wife's name?
I'm Catherine Parr. Bet you want to know how we got this.
Okay. So I thought that she just got to like marry that guy she was always in love with and like be happy, but she did not say that about her in this book. She said that he ended up being a horrible person, and I was like, I thought Catherine Parr got to marry her love and like go be happy.
She did marry him, and he was a horrible person. No, they did get married, and he raped, or he assaulted, Mary, Bloody Mary.
That wasn't in the musical.
Well, it's the end. That's like after King Henry dies. Yeah, so King Henry dies. She ends up marrying the love of her life, Thomas, and they become the guardians of Bloody Mary and assault her. Something like that. I could be wrong. Don't listen to me.
No, that's what it said in here. It said like he was horrible, and I was like, but I thought she got her happy life after. That's what 6 said. 6 was
but wrong. I heard that she wasn't that great either.
Oh, really?
That she knew what he was doing. Like they married each other, but he was awful, and she knew it. Somebody confirm and tell me that I'm correct, just to inflate my ego. Okay, salted Queen Elizabeth. I knew it was one of the. Yeah. Oh no, Bloody Mary married, went to go live with his ugly wife. What was her name? Anna of Cleves. Yeah.
Huh?
I know things. Yeah, I'm king. It was Queen Elizabeth. I'm sorry, my bad. But I was still kind of right that he was awful. What a time, guys. What a time. All right, so it was crazy. It was wonderful. One of my favorite. Okay, in the play, she was ugly. Not the actress, but like they said, he divorced her because he didn't look like her portrait, and he wanted someone younger. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop because I'm butchering history, absolutely butchering it. What is everybody doing reading?
So,
oh, okay.
She wasn't.
What is everybody reading right now while we Google facts of Queen Elizabeth and the Tudors?
Not reading anything.
After she's been having altercations with her brother-in-law.
What?
Catherine Parr was having altercations with her brother-in-law.
She was sleeping?
And it says altercations. I don't know what that means.
What is this? Heart of Dracula? What is that? I'm going to Google that right now because I would like to read that. Thanks so much. Oh, by Catherine Kingsley. I've seen this book. Beautiful. Beautiful. I will read this. Thank you so much.
How can you dig up her body?
Huh?
Monica said they dug up Catherine Parr's body.
Like her skull? I don't know.
Oh, so her husband had plotted to marry Elizabeth before marrying Catherine.
Because he wanted to be king?
I am assuming that he wanted power. And then it says that she helped him.
Yeah, people were like fucked up in the olden times because when Anne Boleyn was like beheaded, her like maids were scared that she was going to be assaulted after she was dead, so they had to like escort her to like a place that she could be safe. Had no head and was still getting assaulted by men. Wild.
I really want to read Stacey Reed's new book, and I also love this book. I have it.
Everyone's talking about this book.
I love the 7-Year Slip, and I got so sad when the Fairy Loot edition got sold out before the public access got access to it, and I wanted to
I didn't
kill myself.
realize she was that popular.
Ashley Postive?
Yeah.
She wrote Geekorella and all those YA books, and then was it the first book? The first book that she wrote was The Dead Romantics was picked up by Good Morning America for the book club, and that's how it exploded for reviews. So then the 7-Year Slip became popular because of the Dead Romantics, and then she already had a league of readers reading her books from YA. And then Stacey Reid, The Wolf and the Wallflower. Jessica, I don't know if you read that book.
I'm almost done with it. Yeah.
So good. I loved it so much. I actually read so many Stacey Reid's books. Like, I went on a binge and I read I can't say almost all of it. I read maybe 70% of all her books now. This whole month, I was just listening to all her audiobooks. So good.
I'm trying to Google if Khalid is alive. Sorry.
Can't you just skim a review?
Open the Goodreads reviews.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I had found this blog that was giving a synopsis of the first one, so I wanted to see if they did the second one. Okay. She's widowed. No. Oh, fuck. It's not him.
Oh, who is it? Who is it?
Do you know who she ends up with?
Yeah, I saw it. I was fucking pissed.
Who is it? Who is it? Tell us.
Go ahead, say it.
Can you spoil it?
Go ahead.
I don't want to spoil if anyone wants to read it.
Oh.
It's our live show. We make the rules. If you guys don't want to know who she ends up with, go ahead and tengo buen día. Exit.
Okay, so the end of this review says, I think Adam and Skye will live many a long and happy year together. So she ends up with Adam.
Why is Samantha mad? I thought you enjoyed Adam. I know you like Khalid.
He was my second husband. Khalid was my first.
I literally cannot believe that Adam is back in the story. He had such a small
part. This person says though that they were mad at Adam for not stepping up in the first place. So I guess he could have saved from the beginning. Just like Niall. I feel like it's just a repeat of Niall. Niall just sits around and waits.
So is Niall actually dead?
No, I think Niall's
dead. He dies of old age or something. I don't think he has a tragic death.
How old is she?
Yeah, but the old age for Niall would be what, 30, 35, dead? Because that's
he is 35 at the end. He's 35 at the end.
That's so sad. He literally dies at 40, and they call that old age. But I
don't know.
This time,
I'm mad. We read the same good Jessica.
So all those stabbies ended up actually killing Khalid.
Lexi, tell us how Niall dies, please.
Yeah.
Because she says it's lame.
No,
lame.
You want to know how he dies?
Yeah, go.
Yeah,
Niall is murdered by his ex-wife, and his body is dumped into the sea.
The nun? The nun?
There's the only one alive.
What the fuck? Why is a nun killing people?
because he assaulted her.
I guess. So now she can't join heaven. She can't be with God anymore after committing this tragic sin.
I found a spoiler review that just gives you everything about the book.
Which one? On Goodreads?
Yeah.
What's their name?
Genevieve.
Okay. Tess, Cecilia, Jessica, Genevieve, a homegirl.
Oh, then Niall's not dead.
And then he dies for real. Oh, so she doesn't marry a lot of new people. It's just the same people.
Yeah, it says that it's implied that he dies from opium. it does say it drags because she lives through 2 different courts.
Well, Miss Genevieve, you really like the book. You gave it 5 stars.
Yeah.
Oh, he's addicted
Such
to
a wild
opium.
ride.
Yeah, he overdoses. That's lame as hell.
I was like, maybe we should read book 2 for next year, but no, it's okay.
I'm still gonna read it because I'm fascinated by this series. Oh boy, wow. What else did people say they were reading? An Earl to Remember. Cool. Love that for you.
I think this is one of the first live shows we spent the entire time talking about the book.
A whole hour. Yeah.
Do you guys normally come with notes too? Like sharing the screen with the notes? Wow. First time ever too. We had enough to talk about. Build it all up on the screen.
I said I was going to start creating notes like months ago. And Jessica was like, okay, that's something you have to do because I'm booked and busy. And I never did it.
I also I started this yesterday. I was on page 120 this morning. So yeah, I wait till the last minute to do these. If we were more organized.
Spencer does these for our Cozy Mystery Book Club, and it keeps us on track.
Okay.
Yeah. Next book is The Phantom Book. And if we hate this book, we're gonna blame Justin.
Yeah. You picked it.
I'm just joking. It's not Justin. I did vlog reading this book. I did. I forgot my headphones today at work. I had 3 hours left of the audiobook, and I forgot my headphones. I walked to the Target next door and bought some cheap-ass headphones because I was so dedicated to finish this book. On my break, for legality reasons, I was on my break. Justin.
LOL.
I think it was Justin who told us about this book, but he hasn't actually read it. Yeah. I just wanted a Phantom of the Opera retelling. Look, I have my Phantom book right here. She's Beauty and she's Grace.
Already. Do you have a paperback of our next book, though?
No, I don't. I don't know why. I'll get to that. All right, guys. An hour in, and I think we're going to cut it off here. It's on Kindle Unlimited. Beautiful. That's gorgeous. I'll read it on Kindle Unlimited. Our next book is on KU, and it'll be on Jessica's channel. Don't know what live show day it will be, but we'll see you guys next month.
Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you, Lisa, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.